What does it look like to teach, to parent, to coach, to show up for a child when almost everything around us is changing? That's the question I carried through all of season 5. In the season finale, I am pulling together the biggest ideas from more than 40 conversations, the surprising answer nearly every expert kept circling back to, and a little news about how we're going to spend the summer together. This is a season wrap, a thank you, and the start of something I am so excited about for the summer ahead. This is Solutions, the podcast that extends education beyond the classroom. A show that isn't just theory, but practical, try-it-tomorrow approaches for educators and caregivers to ensure every student finds their spark and receives the support they need to thrive. I am Olivia Wall, and today there is no guest in the studio with us. It's just you and me. We've reached the end of season 5, and instead of one more interview, I want to do something different. I want to sit with the big ideas that ran through this whole season and make sure I honor every single person who sat down with me. Each of those conversations meant the world to me, and they all left an impression. When I named this season Teaching in the Age of Change, I meant it partly as a description of the world. The pace of it, the policy whiplash, the headlines that can make a person who loves this work feel very small and very tired. But somewhere in the middle of the season, the meaning flipped for me because nearly every expert kept pointing not to the change happening to us, but to the change we are capable of making. The answer again and again wasn't out there. It was already in us and already in the child in front of us. That is the backbone of this entire season. Season 5 opened with Professor John Hattie, and after synthesizing the learning of hundreds of millions of students, he said something that I still think about. After about 5 years, there is almost no correlation between experience and effectiveness. So then, what separates expert teachers? There, and I love the word he used, nosy. Not satisfied knowing whether a child got the right answer, they are obsessed with how that child is thinking. Less feedback, but far better feedback. They notice. That stance that the experts already within us, that echoed all season. Sandy Halpin showed us how to build district-wide professional learning so that every teacher thrives, not just the ones who seek it out. Larry Ainsworth reminded us that essential standards and high expectations aren't in contrast with each other. They're the same promise to kids. Angela Stockman reframed documentation itself, showing how pedagogical documentation makes student thinking visible. And Chrissy Beltran, also known as Buzzing with Ms. B, talked about where coaching is heading and how we can keep it human. So I want to start this reflection episode by reminding everyone the expertise is already within us, and this season just kept proving it over and over. Another thread focused on the disciplines and who a child believes they are. So many conversations this season were really about that same hidden thing, a child's identity as a reader, a writer, a mathematician, a scientist. On reading, Dr. Molly Ness demystified orthographic mapping, how words actually become automatic. Muriel Walther made the case that read-aloud isn't a luxury that we cut when time is short. It's a daily anchor. Dr. Kay Stahl helped us see that phonics has a finish line, but comprehension and vocabulary are lifelong. And she gave families the loveliest permission that everything counts as summer reading, from menus to sporting box scores. On writing, Patty McGee freed us from Granny's grammar and made grammar a tool for voice, not a red pen. Katie Kyer brought the joy of a writer's play shop. And Melanie Meehan and Maggie Roberts grounded writing in the brain, executive function, language, the real cornerstones young writers need. On math, Mona Eel showed us what a true math word problem workshop looks like. And Wendy Ward Hoffer asked us to retire the myth that being good at math means being fast and right. Real mathematicians dwell, and rebuilding a child's confidence, she said, often starts with the adult looking in the mirror first. On science and language, David Price turned science into busking, creating a wonder and magic about science that we can take in anywhere. And Beth Skelton and Tanhuin reframed the feedback loop for our multilingual learners, so feedback builds rather than corrects. And running underneath all of it, agency. Sarah Zerwin told us to step aside and let secondary readers and writers drive. Dr. Rebecca Winthrop named what disengagement is really telling us and why autonomy is the antidote. Across every subject, the lesson was the same. A child's relationship with learning is built in everyday moments, and all of it tells them you belong here. Another thread in conversations was around the whole child: brains, bodies, hearts, play. These are all the parts of a child that a curriculum map can forget. Gravity Goldberg walked us through the brain-body connection and what it means for learning. Eli Harwood showed us how connection-focused parenting and secure attachment ripple across a child's entire day. Murray Vachon made the quiet, radical case for slow learning and curiosity in a world that rushes kids. Rusty Keeler sent us all back outside to the developmental power of outdoor play. Stuart Yates shared my sports diary and what movement and reflection can do together. And Coach Tom Gilardi, New York State Teacher of the Year, reminded us that engagement starts not with rules, but emotional safety. A child has to feel safe enough to be bad at something before they'll ever risk getting good. And Kate Driscoll gave us Art Teacher Life, the creative autonomy and joy that art rooms protect, especially when education feels heavy. Whole child teaching isn't softer teaching. It's the most hopeful, most demanding version of this work there is. And some of the most tender conversations this season were about the children our systems too often leave at the margins. Suzanne Stone of Livestrong and Brett Fox of HopeCam helped us hold something almost unbearable, helping kids understand childhood cancer and keeping a sick child connected to their classroom and their friends. Stacey Shubitz gave caregivers a roadmap to make the school system actually work for a child with disabilities and to empower that child for the future. And Dr. Courtney Bishop reframed parenting neurodivergent children around regulation and resilience, not either or, and never deficit first. Belonging isn't a bonus that we add once real learning is done. It is the condition for learning. I loved how this season kept pushing the walls of the classroom outward, into homes, neighborhoods, city halls, and the planet itself. On Rethinking the Model of School, David K. Richards opened up the world of microschools. Sarah Tizar shared what she learned starting a homeschool. Benjamin Freud introduced regenerative education, where quality emerges through community voices. And Rachel Thrash invited us to let the learners lead through a co-create schools framework. On the youngest learners and the stories we carry, Beverly Falk and Nancy Cardwell took us inside early childhood education in New York City's public schools and what we could borrow from models abroad. And Dr. Michelle Shonda Singh reminded us that listening to our stories is the work. On justice, housing, and access, Erin Patterson of Schoolhouse Connection showed how housing instability shapes a child's school life. Dr. Kris Nystrom mapped school deserts and what it means to read the world, not just the word. Dr. Fabi Bagula, superintendent of San Diego Unified School District, tackled affordable housing so teachers can actually live in the communities they serve. And Tanya Quinn brought us Portrait Pals, connection built one portrait at a time. On civic life and student leadership, Chris Hash showed us second graders standing before a city council moving from empathy into action. Colleen O'Brien made the case for civic engagement as a core curriculum. And Muriel Summers challenged us simply to believe in students as leaders and watch what happens. On climate, space, and play, Sabina Setiuni of Open Plans walked us through the School Streets movement, where open space, climate resilience, and play meet. And Xochitl Bentley showed us how we can help students become climate stewards, hopeful, capable, and ready. Every one of those conversations said the same thing in a different way. The classroom was never just the room. I closed the season with two of my favorite people, Cornelius and Dr. Kass Minor of the Minor Collective. They left us with the idea that community is the thing that's unshakable. And in a moment when the profession can feel surveilled and exhausting, they offered something fierce and tender at the same time. Kass named grace and ferocity as twins. Cornelius let us know that admitting our feelings isn't admitting defeat. He asked us to marvel at the young people right in front of us. And together, Kass and Cornelius kept returning to one belief. People come before frameworks, and community is the one thing that's truly unshakable. If you take one sentence from this entire season into your summer, let it be that one. You are not alone, and you were never meant to go it alone. So, thank you to all 43 conversations worth of guests who trusted me with their wisdom, to all of you who emailed me to tell me which of the conversations you brought back to your team, to all of you who found solutions for the first time, and to the coaches, counselors, and mentors who keep showing up for the people who show up for kids. This show is kept alive by all of you every time you press play and then you go take action with what you heard. Now, here's what's coming your way this summer. Solutions is going into the archives. I'm bringing you a best of series. They are the top conversations that you return to most across all 5 seasons. Here's why. 5 seasons in, there are more than 180 curated conversations. If you found solutions just recently, there's a very good chance the exact conversation you need this summer is already waiting for you. The best of summer is my way of dusting those conversations off and getting them back into your ears at the perfect moment, when you finally have space to rest, reflect, and plan for September without the weight of the year on your shoulders. So whether you've been here since season 1 or you've just discovered us, this summer is for rediscovery. It's the same feed, the same place you're listening right now. And then when the leaves start to turn, we begin again together. Season 6 has a theme that is so close to my heart. For teachers, by teachers, and forever getting better. It's everything this season pointed toward. The expert already within you, the community that's unshakable, the belief that we are never finished growing. I've also been pouring myself into a book on these ideas, coming your way in spring of 2027, and I cannot wait to share more. But that's in the fall, and the summer's for the archives, for rest, and for remembering why we love this work. Solutions Podcast is created, produced, and edited by me, Olivia Wall. Thank you to my older son, Benjamin, who created the music playing in the background. You can follow and listen to Solutions wherever you get your podcasts or subscribe to never miss an episode and watch on YouTube. Thank you to all of my Season 5 guests, because after more than 40 conversations this season, the through line is clear. The expertise you're searching for isn't out there in the next program or framework. It's already within you, and it's already within the child in front of you. The thing that makes it sustainable isn't a strategy at all, it's community. Teaching in the age of change begins with noticing what's already there, and it holds because you were never meant to do this work alone. If you are ready to grow alongside your children, book a coaching session with me at oliviawall.com this summer. We will unlock the expert who is already within you and surround you with a community of educators committed to forever getting better through collective expertise. Take care and thank you for forever getting better with me.